I still like to make a couple minutes of the first couple minutes of Liam's training session. I still like it for it to be just letting him wander around and let me know how he feels today. I just let him wander and kind of warm up his legs while he's walking around. I don't want to hop on and just start demanding things. And then I usually start to work on the things that we have been working on before, things that are going well, just to make sure that they are still going well. So I might pick up the reins and see if he picks up his head at the walk, and he does. I might pick up the reins and ask him to stop, and he does, nice and light. Might ask him for a rein back. Nice and light. To make sure all those things are still working. He still understands all of them. And then we'll work on a little bit of trot. Make sure he understands how to go forward, off the leg lightly. He still doesn't carry the trot very far, but I like that. I like that he's not in a hurry to go anywhere fast. So I'm not going to make it a big deal. We just go again. As he starts to slow down, I might sit down and practice asking him to go forward from the full seat. Good boy. Practice asking him to go forward with his head a little bit, or being able to ask him to bring his head up a little bit. Good boy. Big cough. And it's all really good. His steering is super nice and light. His go and whoa and left and right are working beautifully for this stage of training. Starting to hold his balance really nicely. Boy. Very nice. There, when I asked him to walk, he started to lean down a little bit on the contact, but pretty quickly came up and off the contact. And I should say also smoothly, so it wasn't an abrupt off the contact, just smoothly followed my hand. So the other thing that we're working on is the transition to canter. Which is not easy for horses because it's easy for them to get unbalanced, especially because it's easy for the rider to get unbalanced. So when the horse is unbalanced, it's very hard for the rider to be balanced. And when you ask for canter and they go really fast trot, it's really hard to stay still and focused and help them understand that you want the canter. So we'll work through that a little bit today. I've asked him for the canter 2 other times, 2 other training sessions. The first time he didn't canter at all. He only went a little faster in the trot, which was fine, since that was the first time I had introduced the cue to him. So I didn't want it to be a big deal. I just wanted him to think forward when I put my inside leg at the girth, my outside leg back. And then I also am using the kiss noise with my voice to help him understand that I want him to go faster, and it's the cue that I use for canter on the ground. So it's a classical conditioning, classically conditioning him to the leg via the kiss for canter. It's the same that I did for the trot. So we'll see how he does today. The second time, he did get a little bit of canter, both directions. I think both were the wrong lead, but that's not a problem. We don't worry about lead until we can consistently get canter in whatever lead they give us. And then we can start to help them understand lead, the correct lead. So we'll go to the trot. And if you don't have a really good sitting trot, I wouldn't attempt the canter on a young horse, because it's really important that you're balanced. If you want them to feel safe and balanced, you have to be balanced. And I guess you have to feel safe too. So, not that you can't get it unbalanced, but it's scary for the horse. So we'll get our trot kind of established. And then when we get to the gate here, I'm just going to sit, move my legs to the right cue, kiss, try and stay really still. Good boy. And he went faster in the trot, so that's good enough. And I'm not going to pressure him all the way to the canter. Oh, that was my mistake. We walked at the gate, but that's all right. I'm not going to pressure him all the way to the canter. I just want him to think forward when I do that. And eventually he'll think canter. Good boy. Let's get a nice forward, fluid trot. And the sitting trot. Move the legs, kiss the voice. Good boy, we're gonna try again. I'm gonna use a little bit of wave from the stick to see if I can get him to have a little more energy. Good boy. Good boy. And that is exactly what I wanted, the correct lead. Just a couple smooth strides. And then a nice balanced trot afterwards. Really, really nice. Good boy. And then I just let him come down to the walk. Take a breath. And realize it wasn't a big deal. Good boy. A lot of times I like to allow the horse to not do the thing so that way I can learn how to help them understand it. Like that first time I asked him to canter, he didn't canter, but then I learned that he was a little too heavy on his forehand. So the second time I tried to get him to pick his head up just a little bit more, and he still didn't canter. So I realized that he needed a little bit more motivation, a little more energy with his bringing his head up and being a little more uphill to understand that he should canter. So I like those, allowing those times where it doesn't go the way that I want it to, so I can learn what he's struggling with. Right? Good boy. So if it doesn't work, I'm usually going to try something slightly different to help explain it in a different way to them. According to the way that they react or they respond. So we're going to do the same thing, same direction, see if we can get it just a little bit easier. Get a nice trot going. Boy. Sitting trot. Move the legs. Wave the whip. And that time he was just struggling with the leg. He didn't like the leg, the feel of it. We're going to ask again. A little more energy. Good boy. So I tried to use he's still carrying. Good boy. I tried to use my leg a little bit less and the energy of my stick and my body a little bit more so that it didn't offend him. He's always been a little offended by the leg. So I have to be careful. Yeah, that I don't overdo the leg, because then I'm going to get a buck. And I don't want that. Let him have a little rest there. Maybe we'll try again to the left, and then we'll try a little bit to the right. He's getting the correct lead this direction, which I think is new. Good boy. So go to the trot. That was light. I'm gonna go over here. Get way too close to the fence for my liking. Sit. Good boy. Didn't even have to use my voice that time, and my leg was really light. Good job. And he came right back. Good boy. Super. Well done. So once they start to grasp the concept in one direction, A lot of times it's easier in the other direction. We'll see how he does. Takes a lot of body control from the rider to help these young horses because they're so awkward and unsure in the canter. Good boy. Sitting, move your legs. Wrong lead, but he totally understood what I wanted. Good, so we're gonna let him have a walk. Good boy. You can always shape the behavior. So you have to reward that try. If you don't, they're gonna get confused and feel like they did the wrong thing. All I asked for was the canter, and that's what I got. He seems to be a bit attracted over here, so I'm going to ask for the canter over here this time. Get back around. Sitting trot, leg. Good boy. He kind of felt like he thought about a little buck there with the leg, but then he just went into the canter, which is interesting. I'm gonna ask him to move past this area. If he comes back here, I'm just gonna ask him to trot. It's gonna go to the gate. To the panel. He seems very work adverse, so I try to give him a lot of breaks and put very little pressure on him. He's the type of horse that could very easily get dangerous if you ask too much of him for too long. So the more breaks and the more rewards that I can give him, the more he's going to want to try. All right, let's try once or twice more. We gotta go this way. I know. Hard work. He's already thinking canter. Didn't even have to do anything. He's got a very collected canter that he offers, which is interesting. Because I didn't ask, I'm going to ask again. Okay, good boy. Tried a little counter canter there, or sorry, a little cross canter there. He has a hard time with the right lead, but he definitely knows what I want. He's just not waiting for it now. Anticipation can sometimes be your best friend or your worst enemy. I'm going to try one more time just because I want to see if he can wait a little bit and maybe get the correct lead. He knows it feels wrong when he's in the wrong lead and when he's in the cross canter, but he's not quite sure how to get the right lead. So I just want to experiment with that a little bit. Since he's going forward a little lighter, I can start to ask him to bring his head up in the transition, which, good boy, might help him. Good boy. Good transition, wrong lead. That's fine. We'll work on that another day. Very good transition. Good job. So getting the correct lead will probably take a little bit of body control. He gets tense when he's trying to get the canter to the right. So helping him soften and relax into that transition, building some strength, some suppleness will help him get the correct lead going to the right. Very good boy. Let's practice our stop, or our rein back. Good boy, so light. So good. We can practice a little bit of body control for our cool down here. So I might ask him to move his shoulders one step to the right. If he gets kind of heavy, I'm just going to help him through that. He backs up. I'm just going to bring my hands to the right, see if I can help him move his shoulders to the right. He's just leaning a bit. He says, I think I'll move my hips. And just keep explaining to him, trying to make it clearer what I want. And then we need to be able to stop. Good, and get light. Stop. And get light. Good boy. So he has to learn that he can't run through the hand when he's not sure. Good. There's getting heavy. There we go. Good boy. And he gets a little bit concerned. He wants to run through the hand. And so this is an opportunity to explain that you can't do that. Good. I don't think I've ever actually asked for a turn on the haunches. So this is what you might get the first time you ask. Good boy. That's it. It's the right idea. Not quite what I was looking for yet. Little, yeah. Better. Good job. Too heavy, too forward. Good. Good boy. Okay, I'll take that leg yield there because he picked up this shoulder, and that's really what I was trying to ask him to do, because he was leaning on the left shoulder, throwing his head right. So I just wanted him to pick up that shoulder a little bit. I wanted him to understand that I wanted him to pick up that shoulder. So if it's leg yield or turn on the haunches, either one will work. And because that's a hard concept for him, I'm just going to ask him for the same direction and see if we get anything similar. So as soon as I put my leg on, he thinks forward. So it's really good that we've got that cue where I can get him, he understands I want him to be light, you know, in my hand. So he doesn't just keep running through the bit. Good boy. And he gets more thoughtful. Good job. So he just picked up his shoulder a little bit there. And he stayed fairly light. He didn't get too anxious or heavy in my hand. You have to be so careful to help them understand because you can't explain it in words. So it's really easy for them to get confused and frustrated. Good job. All right, I guess we'll see how his canter continues to develop. I'm really happy with that. It just keeps getting better and easier for him to understand.